Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be introducing the Able Bassmaker, and it's an effects pedal from the 1980s, or I knew it from the 1980s, and it's made by John Rogers. They were made in Wales, and this particular pedal was made for me because I called John up one day and he'd actually stopped making them, and I decided to have him make me one. And he very graciously said he had some parts still, and he made me one. So I think I may even have the last one ever made. The specific job this pedal does is not just as an octaver, but it does an effect that it will play the lowest note when you play a chord. So without, it's just your standard note, and it adds. It actually knows the lowest note that you're playing and will only play that note. And it has an extra octave below. So it's capable of doing an octave below or 2 octaves below, but it's semi-intelligent, pretty much intelligent, because it can tell the lowest note and it's filtering the rest of the notes, and it seems to just recognize the lowest note. Exactly how it does that, I don't know. There is a circuit diagram available. So just to tell you something about the pedal, it's 9 volt, it's pin negative, and I don't think it's a high power draw, certainly not much more, I wouldn't have thought, than a standard octaver. And I would have thought by the time this was out, I would have thought it would have been about the same time as the Boss OC-2 octaver, and you might be able to hear that it's got a very similar quality to the Boss octaver. But it's got something else going on as well as the octave. It's got some kind of filtering and some extra sounds to it, maybe some sort of compression. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I think the point of it is to filter the sound in order that it could work out the lowest note of the chord and then be able to play the rest. It's got a gain function and it's got a mix function. The mix all the way to the left, there's no bass note. Mix all the way to the right, lots of bass. We've got the mix somewhere in the middle. Turning the mix quite a way to the left. So it can be used as a sub-bass enhancer, which is actually how I used to use it with this very guitar that I'm playing, which is a Godin nylon string with the RMC pickups. So you can use it, the Bassmaker, to get you more of a bass type sound, or certainly an enhanced sub sound. Now, quite what the gain knob does, I can't say I'm entirely sure. I wonder whether it increases the sweep. I'm not sure. I'm going to play some low notes. to turn the mix up a little bit. So what you can hear is, even with the mix knob down, the Octaver itself becomes much more unstable because it's detecting so I think the gain control is some kind of filter. Obviously you want to set that to where you want it to pick up the lower notes but not the higher notes. So if I set the gain quite low, so when I play something high, I don't want the bass maker interfering, and so I think that's what the gain does. I'm going to try and increase the gain so it does mess with the signal. You can probably hear it there. So you get it to a point where you want to use it. And in fact, I would always use the gain knob somewhere between about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at most. And then I would adjust the mix. Because without, you can hear it working now. Depressing the extra sub-octave, second octave. So you can hear it's doing what would be octave 2 rather than octave 1. 2 octaves below. So now whether you prefer the lowest octave so that would be your sub, otherwise so I think on the 1 octave below it's probably at its most subtle. If you were to use the 2 octaves below, I would probably adjust it to get an even more subtle sound. So there's an example playing a little Giuliani study at Opus 100, number 2. I'll switch it off so it's on the regular octave. And let's try Etude number 3, Opus 100. The one thing I haven't said so far is it's got a separate output. So you can, at the moment I've mixed the outputs, but you can have a separate octave output, a separate channel on your mixer or whatever you wanted to do, or you could even run this to a bass amp. So overall, I think that the Able Bassmaker is a very useful pedal, and there's just one thing left to say about it, in that certainly there's not many in circulation, and you don't see too many for sale in the used market. And guessing that the last one's made, I don't even remember when I had this made, but I think it was in the early 90s. I can't say I'm 100% sure, but it was in the 90s, 1990s. So a useful pedal, but now you've got the Boss OC-5, and the question remains, did the idea for that function that they have on the OC-5 come from this pedal? Because that, for chord strummers, is a very useful feature. So I think the original function was to be able to play it for a chord player who was perhaps singing, or a finger picker. That's certainly when the unit is at its most effective, is where you can just hit the bass note confidently and then continue the chord. If you know of any other units that do this kind of thing, apart from, the Boss OC-5, I would be interested to know. I think the Boss OC-5 Octaver, the latest version, I think that extra function that they built into it is based on this. Anyway, it remains for me to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.